I want to challenge myself to really dig into my psyche to see if there's been something recently that I have fake cared about. Like, as you guys been talking, I've been really like asking myself, what was the last thing? But I'm kind of like Bobise, like I don't really like any hot topics. I don't talk about it. I don't
think I've done a hot topic on my Instagram since, I don't know. I mean, women in ministry doesn't count because honestly, if you're still against women in ministry, like, yo, Manny, find someone that's like against it, and you and I can get them together.
I would love to talk.
Like,
I've invited a lot.
We're gonna win.
We're gonna win, winners, and you'll be all nice, and I'll come ready with my notes page. But anyway,
I'll come pistol fire.
I think that the last thing, and it wasn't a fake care, the last thing that I went out on my Instagram, apart from women in ministry, but I would die on that hill. So like that for me is like, come in the DMs, come in the comments, let's chat, fam. And you can have your way of seeing things, that's fine. Just let's not get personal about like me being divorced because I'm a woman in ministry and God hating me. You know what I mean? So like, just don't do that. But my thing is like, I remember 2021, we were middle of the year last year. I'd moved to the OC, and I realized how many people, I guess I was in a bit of a bubble of people caring about Black Lives Matter. And I was surrounded by a lot of people that did, right? And then I moved to the OC. And
Blue Lives Matter.
To be honest, I used to fake care about Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
I did before 2020. I mean, I married a Black man. And for me, I was like, oh, that must have been so tough. But that's one of the things that I processed in therapy was like, I never really asked him deep stuff. I wanted to know his experience, but I didn't go as deep as I did during 2020. And I think I was shocked at the video. I think I was shocked at the George Floyd video, and it made me stop and be like, the hell? Like, I was at that moment, without knowing anything, without all the other stuff, all of those weeks leading up, and I'm very aware that was all that was public, that this has happened so many ridiculous times, it's insane, but that was what was so public so quickly, right? And so after Ahmaud Arbery, and so I think that for me, that year was a turning point. So then I got really angry when I came to the OC, and people had things like, well, we don't really know what happened and crap like that, and because I'd read all my books, I knew how to respond, and I definitely didn't respond in love all the time. So, and I remember coming home one night being, these idiots, like, I'm going to post Black Lives Matter like an idiot. Like, who the hell do I think I am? You know what I mean? And so, and I lost followers again, but I remember that being something that I was like, I never wanted to become fake don't care. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, because just like we can fake care, we can fake not care, right? And so I didn't want that to become something in me. And I'm not saying everyone in the OC doesn't care. Like, I'm definitely not saying that at all, right?
Right.
That really got to me, that I was like, I don't ever want to become so removed that things that did matter suddenly don't matter. And so I understand why people, if you're pro-life or whatever you are on that certain subject, it is totally fine to have your view on it. And it is totally fine to be pro-life. And it is totally fine to have your view in your political party. And totally, all that gets me is that I'm like, I watched what Paul told Timothy and said, hey, just so you know, man, like, military officials and soldiers don't get caught up in daily affairs. And I remember what Manny says all the time about how, like, kings don't get caught up in like the peasant crap. He says it better. But like, I always remember that. And it always comes to my head when I'm like tempted to like drive after someone that cut me off in traffic, like not cuss them out, like just drive after them like miles later and just like really go at it. You know, it doesn't matter, Elise. Like, how is this going to matter? And so I think that for me, all of this stuff is like, the last time I was scared not to care, I think I posted, but I think that also convicted me, because I was like, Elise, are you using your life or using your platform? So I then went pretty silent after that about everything, because if it didn't pertain to whether it was businesses that I was running or the like day-to-day ministry stuff that I was doing, I don't want my platform just to become a bunch of political posts because I feel like I have to. I actually want to hear from God. I actually want God to take me on journeys, and I don't want to get so caught up posting about something that I don't learn about it, that I don't have conversations about it, that we don't do this about it. I know this is public, but the reason night started was because we did this before. Like, I want these conversations more now than I want someone being like, good job for posting. And the other day was one of those awakening points about the abortion stuff that I was like, man, I got mad. Why was I getting mad? Even if I had the same view as someone that they're posting about something, because I think in the back of my mind, I was like, you don't freaking care.
Well, I think that's why I don't ever talk, because I know that my actions have to speak. Like, they just have to be the way that I talk. I can't get up online and talk about crap that I'm just not doing. Like, how can I? I don't know how people can. Like, that's some fake ish. Like, you know, and there's stuff that I'm like, I should care about this, and I have to be honest. Like, there's a lot of times, and I think this is most people. Look, if you're freaking honest with yourself, fake caring people, most of the time, your priority list of caring is you, then family, then you again, then whatever political ish is going on, because you are spending way more time securing your life, your financial,
see you.
Yes, your everything, your image, your finances. You are spending time securing that, making that sturdy, way more than you are out trying to take care of people, or trying to care about babies, or trying to care about a lot of stuff. And I think that's what keeps my mouth shut.
I have a question, and I don't have an answer. It's a legit question. So I'm in this moment, right, where I'm like, I don't want to talk about stuff that I don't care about, right, or that doesn't pertain to my life. I'll have conversations with you one-on-one, but I'm not going to just like put a blanket statement out there. Here's my question. When do we need to become the voice for people that don't have a voice? When do you think Jesus would have spoken up? And I know it was a different day and age and all that kind of stuff, but like, when do we get to that? Where is that line?
Well, I think that's more, again, I don't think, for me, I don't think standing up for people is social media. Like, it's not real.
But like, when the Black Lives Matter stuff was happening,
it would be going out. It would be actually doing something. It would be, no one will know that you're standing up, because it's
not a black square on a.
You ain't posting anything. And you know, like, if you're going to be out at a protest, it's like, cool, bruh. Like, I don't know if I would take my phone out just to show people I'm at a protest, because that then brings accountability, and I'm like, if I'm going to be about something, I'm going to be about something, and it's not for people to see. It's for me to know that if I ever do open my mouth, it's because I'm putting in work. You know what I'm saying? So when people come at me, who was the last person that came at me? There's one dude came at me because he was so mad that I was like wearing my Porsche shirt. I was wearing my Porsche shirt, and he got mad. He was like,
if you don't like this, I got pants, I got a hat.
I got cars.
He was so mad that I had a Porsche shirt on. He's like, oh, you're so selfish and greedy and da-da-da-da-da. And I could talk to him easily, because I'm like, I know what I do with my money. Like, I know that I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I know that I'm generous, and I know that I'm all these things. So I can speak. But I still wouldn't do it publicly, because I just believe that 99.9% of the time our need to post is egocentric.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just, no matter what it is, even if it's positive, even if it's helping people, if it was truly all about the people, if it got 2 likes, you wouldn't even care. And I don't know anyone who would not care. When I get a low amount of likes, the first thing I do is hit up Ryan. Ryan, what the hell, bro? Why is my post not getting the traction? Why is Instagram, hiding me? Why is, all this stuff? And I remember hitting him up every time that would happen. And I was like, oh my God, I am that guy pretending to care about only reaching the one. If I only reach one, I've said that shit before. If I only inspire one, that's all that matters. Right? We say that. But then my first text is like, bro, I have 52,000 or 56,000 followers. How do I only have 20 likes? this is crazy and I'm pissed and I'm whatever. I'm not really caring about the 20 likes or the one comment, or maybe I did affect somebody. I'm fully invested in the fact that I only care about my ego. I care about whatever. And so now what I started doing is now I post and I just don't even look at the likes. I haven't hit them up in a while. I'm just like, nope, can't do it no more, because now I'm fake caring. I'm pretending to put out positive content. I only care about your soul. I only care about inspiring you. And then the first thing I do is hit him up complaining that I don't have enough likes.
That's nothing, you know, it's posting politically rather than like posting from something you actually care about.
Yeah. It's because it's like, again, it's still the egocentric self deciding what it needs and what it wants.
Because it opens up the can of worms of like, what do we ever post about that we don't care about? Like likes and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I don't think I am either. I think the thing that I feel like I've really just been challenged on is because I'm now in a place where I'm not in traditional ministry. But I feel like my life is far more useful than I was in traditional ministry.
Man.
And my connection and my union with God is now my cup is overflowing. And I'm really realizing something is that is what God is trying to get us all the time, to that place. Gosh. That is how, when Paul says pray without ceasing, what he's literally talking about is being present. Because when you are present here in this moment, this is the only place where God is, right here in this moment. God is not in your future. God is not in your past. Everything that you need for wholeness and freedom is here in the now. So, and it's always one of those sucky things, right? Now never feels like enough. We always think my future is going to be better. Or you got a ton of Christians who are so focused on heaven that they aren't even present in their own lives now, here. You know, because now is where God is and where we are trying to get to. But back to kind of a point just a second ago, I lost train of thought. But even in prayer, can you guys hear that? My phone going off?
No.
Oh, that's good. I'm getting a bunch of texts. But even in prayer for a lot of Christians, it's still the egocentric self deciding what it needs and it wants. And so now, instead of your ego just trying to manipulate other people, your ego is now trying to manipulate God.
Yeah.
Because you're now resorting to a higher power to get on your side. So you can still get what you want. So you still remain an untransformed, egocentric person.
I think I did that today.
Yeah.
When those people bailed on me on the house sale.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus, and the second I said it, I was like, I don't need to be asking Jesus to make sure that these people stay in my house. Because the reason I want them to stay in my house is because I'm going to make a lot of money if they stay in my house. I'm not helping people. I'm not like whatever. Like,
right.
I just want I want the deal to close so I can make a shit ton of money. And I brought him into that. And as I was saying, Jesus, I just pray, I was like, nah, bruh, this ain't the move. I don't think you should bring Jesus into this at all. Like, if you gonna be about money and business, just be about money and business. And this is how the business is. Sometimes it falls out. Sometimes people are freaking fake and they don't want your house. And this is what it is. Deal with it. Don't bring them into it. Bring them into stuff that is for real and actually matters. Like, this stuff is money. Let it do what it does over here. But what about switch that prayer and be like, man, God, I really hope I find the people that really need this house.
Wow.
And it's not about the money. Yeah. And I thought about that the other day when before it went on the market. I was like, damn, when was the last time I just asked God to bring the right people because I wanted to provide a really good house for them and it didn't matter about the money. Like, when was the last time I looked at the offers and I was like, who really needs the house? Even if they're the lowest offer. And I wasn't thinking that way. And I'm like, I had to call myself out today. I'm like, bruh, why are you being fake right now with Jesus? And I just stopped praying. I just stopped. And I I was like, I'm
Jesus was
sorry.
like, were you gonna finish that sentence or
I was
like
just
what?
like, he knew.
Yeah.
I was,
Bro, and that's the crazy thing, because I've lived so much of my Christianity in that it just gave me a pious way to still
Right.
be in charge and to still be in control.
mm-hmm.
And that is why what Jesus talks about is like, I hate it, love it. I love it because I'm like, this is incredible. This is the way to wholeness and to healing and to freedom. But I hate it because I realize that that path means letting go. That path means emptying my false self so I could get in touch with the true self that's always been there from the start.
It's like you feel so close and yet so far.
Yeah.
You said earlier, I mean, just like a little bit ago, you said that you've never felt more like impacting.
Yeah.
For me, it's different because the level in which I was at in ministry was so big. I'm nowhere near impacting that many people. I'm not. I was doing freaking arena tours. Like I was out, you know what I'm saying? Like I was traveling all over the world telling people about Jesus. Like it was crazy. And now I'm like, I'm not doing a quarter of what I did, but I believe in what I'm doing now more than ever, you know? But it's really difficult to find what you're talking about when it's not the same numbers.
Yeah.
It's not the same whatever. And I see all my friends that stuck with the traditional Christian route winning.
Yeah.
And I'm over here like, but you couldn't pay me to go back.
Yeah.
So I always just lean back on that. I'm like, I couldn't go back. I just couldn't.
Yeah. And I think too, like a lot of people always have that question of like, what am I supposed to do with my life? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? It's not always a what. There's never a who, right? When we see the demon-possessed man in John 6, Jesus asks, what is your name? Essentially asking, who are you? Because I think that question of who you are is far more important than what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're a different man than I'm sure you were when you were on the stage packing out arenas, bro.
I would agree. I mean, back then I was so scared of Jesus. I was so scared. I was so scared of him, and it's sad to say it. I was deathly afraid of God just smiting me. It was sad. I really feel bad for that guy back then. I just feel so bad, and it was this tense. I feel like it was a really tense moment because again, I felt like that world, and I don't want a blanket statement. The part of the Christian world and industry that I got to be privy to, for sure, I think fake cared about a lot of stuff and then would use that judgmental spirit to put it on you. And I felt their, oh, I care about this. You should be doing this. You know, you shouldn't be doing this. And everything changed. Like a lot of those people didn't make it because they couldn't live up under the weight. Like they couldn't hold it up. I couldn't hold it up. I was like, man, this is so hard to be this legalistic, this judgmental, this is what you should be doing. It was so hard to pretend to know everything.
It's so interesting to me because it's like we all say the same things. Like the people that are, and I keep bringing it back to the abortion point, and it's Brandon's fault because he started out with it. But like the Christian leaders,
I think you might have found what your purpose is here, Elise.
No, this is my thing. It's not to have an opinion on it. It's to actually help people see both sides on everything. That's why I get so stuck in moments like this, because it's like for so long in my life, we were talking about before, like it was shape shifting, and it was like, oh my God, yeah, I love Diet Coke too so much. I love Mitchell Dooley, but like it was like what's going to get me in with these people? And now I realize that what I used to think was a weakness is actually a strength, because I can actually relate to a lot of different people as long as I know who I am and who God's called me to be. Yeah. Maybe I can help people connect and see the same side, like see their side a different way and be like, hey, Jesus was so great. Like people were always calling him a glutton, saying he was hanging out with all these crappy people because He hung out with a bunch of sinners. Like, but careful who you hang out with. Who you hang out with, you become. Anyway, so I think that it's like super interesting to me because with the abortion thing, we all say the same thing. So the ones that are pro-life and like anti-abortion will preface their statement with, and if you've had an abortion, just know there's so much grace for you. And then they'll go on to say what they came on to say. And then I've seen the other side of pro-abortion to be like, it doesn't matter what you say on the issue. All I'm saying is this. And it's like we say these things to kind of do the same thing as Pilate did, to wipe our hands of any, I don't know, public scrutiny, but really get our point across. And I'm like, but did you sit down? Did you sit down and have a conversation with someone on the other side, no matter what side you're on? And this isn't even abortion. This is like whatever the hot topic for the week is, whether it's like the slap and Will Smith or like Dave Chappelle. Jonathan McReynolds. Oh my God, I love him so much. I would totally date him. Jonathan McReynolds, he posted this thing yesterday about Dave Chappelle, and he was like, I was at that show, and he said, so many people are looking to storm the stage when they can just leave the show. And we have this thing right now of like, I've got to storm the stage and make sure people know where I stand. And it's like, or you can leave the show, and that's less about your ego and more about your personal convictions. And we have a world right now, whether it was the Will Smith situation, and again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying how you handle it says a lot about who you are. Or the person that stormed the stage with Dave Chappelle, or the people on Instagram talking about whatever it is they're caring about. I won't say if it's fake or not. I don't know their heart. The Lord does, and he will judge you for that. And like, do you have to storm the stage? Because Jonathan McReynolds said this thing. I have to say his full name every single time. Jonathan McReynolds said, he said, because some people want to share the stage, but if God didn't give you that stage, you'll end up being tackled on the stage. Mm-hmm. And it's this thing of like, we want to share this platform, so then we pretend to care about what that person cares about, or we pretend to be very anti what that person cares about, so that we can get the spotlight. And again, it's about us. It's about self-focus. It's about ego. It's about, I've got to be heard on this issue. I've got to have the different perspective that no one's had on this topic.
It'll never not be. I think it'll never not be about ego with a lot of people. And to be honest, I don't think.
And I get caught up in ego too, so I don't want to say that and make it sound
like you're
no. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it will never not be about ego, because we are in bodies that again are self-preserve. Like preservation is such a high priority to us, humanity. Period. Like, we will always think of ourselves first. There will never be a day where we won't. That's just how we work. It's the spirit in us that the second thought is then, okay, now that you did that, put it behind you. Now what's really important? Like, who's really important? You know, I think for you, like, your place to make those transformations is in that, you know, your Bible study that you do, your one-on-one with your girls, is all the time in the world for them to have access and for you to really make real change, because you got people that want to be there, as opposed to all the freaking people on socials that it's like, they're not there. Don't
say something like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
No, you're not damned if you don't. You're not damned if you don't, because the more people you affect,
they want me to think I'm damned if I don't.
The more people you affect off camera, off whatever, you'll start finding more people come into your aid, because you're actually out there like affecting lives. Like, you're actually out there doing it, you know? So when you stay silent, it's not like staying silent because you have nothing to say. You just know better. Like, there's something strong in staying silent. You can't ever convince me to try to use my platform to get up and be political, when I'm like, bruh, I'm too busy trying to help people, like, in a real way. Like, I'm trying to help myself so that I can help people in a real way, you know? So it's like, you can't fool me into thinking that this fake ass world of social media is the place to try to be real, when it's literally an impossibility for you to be real on social media. And what I mean by that is, How many fucking pictures do you take before you post that selfie? How many? Because for me, I'm usually at 30, 40 because I be taking burst and I be fake trying to act natural. That shit ain't natural, bruh. It's not natural at all. So I'm on 40 pictures, bruh. At this point, it's like, you're not real. Like, this ain't real. Just show the outfit. Just show the damn outfit. Or whatever. Post your song. Whatever you're doing, it's not because you're trying to be, like, deep down, you're trying to be real. Is there a measure of realness in how I post? Sure. Because I don't post anything I don't care about. Yes. But it's still curated. And the main curator is my ego. It just is. But this is also why you guys see me do the fucking dancing with my hair messed up, looking like a mess.
My favorite.
Anytime I do that, it is a blatant attack on my ego. Because I know I don't look good. I'm a hot mess. I'm not dancing awesome. I'm not doing anything sexy. This is not something to be like, oh, wow, did you see that poet? Man, he's so cool. It's none of that. It's opposite all of that. And I do those things because I'm like, fight the ego, bro. Fight the ego. Don't do the hair. Don't look nice. Don't try to be cute. Don't match. Don't nothing. Just be who you really are 99% of the time. And if you can get people to follow you because of that dude, man, you'll never have to be fake again in your life. They'll just rock with you, you know? So I don't know, man. I think it's
Let me ask you then. What we talked about a lot about, like, what do you fake care about? What's something that you guys
really care about?
Really, yeah, thank you. What's something you really care about?
In the political space? I
didn't say that. I didn't give any parameters. What's the first thing?
God, the one thing I really care about, I think you said it earlier. If I could host a Manny cares about this, it would be really learning to see the other person's side. Like, and I know it's never going to happen. It'll only happen on my podcast, on my one-on-ones. It'll only happen then. Because I don't know if anybody, I don't know if we're conditioned to remove ourselves from that judgmental place or to not think that we have the moral high ground. I just always think people are going to be that way until I can get them one-on-one to be like, I care about you and it doesn't matter if you don't like me or if you disagree with me. So what I really care about is people seeing each other and like really like being empathetic. I wish that's like my blind hope. That's literally, and I think I'm like that so much because I was so not that when I was in my Christian heyday. When I was really like super Christian, God, it was just about being right. It was about hitting the mark, right? That's it. Just being out there and doing the duty and doing the dogma. And I feel so sad when I think about that. But yeah, that would be me. I just care. I want people to see each other.
I think for me, the thing that I really care about at this point in my life is being honest and telling the truth about yourself and telling the truth to other people. It's funny because it wasn't until recently where I realized, like, growing up in the church spaces that I did, they were ultra white, and a lot of their beliefs are like rooted within white supremacy. And I realized, as I'm a mixed individual, majority Black, I got a little bit of Mexican in me too as well, is I was anti-Black for a good chunk of my upbringing. And I'll tell you, this is something I've really actually had to be honest with myself within the last month, where I realized, oh shit, as a Black man, I was anti-Black. And I remember when Trayvon Martin died. This was 2012. And I had teammates and I had Black friends who were going out and protesting. And there was a part of me and there was a part of the church space that I was in that was like, hey, you shouldn't be out there. That and you know, you could list all the reasons, and then you could literally fill in the blank with another Black individual who got shot or killed, you know.
Murdered.
And then it was funny because it was just like I wanted to be a different Black than those Black people. Like there's a separate Black. I'm a little bit lighter skinned. I play basketball. I'm decent with putting my words together. I'm articulate. And I realized I was really trying to get away from that Black. Mm-hmm. Like me literally just absorbing anti-Black thoughts to the point where I was like, oh, their theology that they have in the Black church isn't as good as the theology that I have in this revival white space. And it was funny because I wept before God the other day, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that. And I got it out of my system, you know, but I'd never been that honest with myself. So I'm constantly trying to go through these things in my life of like, how much more honest can I go? Because I know that within honesty is where healing comes. That is where freedom comes. And that is where we can actually grow from. You know,
wow,
it's like it's a foundation that is actually solid enough to build upon. And so that's why and this is why I brought this up, and it's why I laughed so much every single week that Lil Duval posts this thing. He said, what y'all fake caring about today? Because as a person who's literally like, one, am I honest? Am I telling the truth? That it's so funny because I realized I faked cared about things, and then I actually cared about things that I shouldn't have been caring about at all, you know? And so, yeah, so that's a big thing for me. And I've even noticed too, just like how much closer I feel with my wife.
Wow.
Like that's been probably within this past year. It feels like it's just gone to another level. And really the only thing that I could attribute that to is just both of us being more honest with each other. Man. And it's been so amazing to see her open up in ways. And even if that means really sharing deep frustrations about things that are happening, including this past week with things that are happening with the abortion conversation, and to see her just express that, even if it's just raw and gritty and just not all put together. So that's something I find myself being really passionate about, because I remember being in the church space and having a platform, and I remember saying things that I didn't really believe in, and people patting me on the back and saying, you're next up. This is incredible. Oh my God, the word that you brought changed my life. And I just remember the conversation that I had with myself after all it was done, and I'm back in my room or whatever. I'm back in the hotel room, and I'm thinking, I wasn't even telling the truth. But they'll never know. And that's the scariest thing, right? They'll never know. But there's something inside of me that I know. And it's like the longer that you escape that, the more that thing's going to eat at you. And then maybe ultimately you get to a point where your conscience has just been completely seared, and it doesn't even matter. And at that place, you're long gone. I mean, you can still come home, but you off.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing I am really, really passionate about right now, and that I really care about.
What about you, Bobis?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I forgot to think of an answer. I know I asked the questions. I think recently I've had to come to terms with the fact that I was really passionate about how people saw me, which is not the usual answer to a question like that, because like I'm aware of that. But kind of like what B said, in order to undo some things, you have to admit some things. And so I think I've had to come to terms with that, to try to still be Christian enough publicly, but also to be, as I figure out what I believe and what me and God and all that kind of stuff. Also, like what B was saying before, I'm not left, I'm not right, I'm Australian, man. Like there's so much of this I don't understand because I don't have history, but it's also like I feel like I get stuck so much. And so for me lately, what I've had to realize is, like, I actually am really passionate, like specifically with women, with helping them like talk, Because if you can talk and say what you actually want and say what you actually need, maybe I can help them get a step further, because that's what I've had to realize is like, amidst the fear, amidst the what are people going to think if I say this? What are people going to think if I don't say this? I need to say this. And maybe not publicly, maybe at a table. Whether it's at a table, and Manny, you were saying before that like you didn't have the table, you didn't have what you used to have, but you built the table. Like you literally built the table. I remember the call where you were like, I want to start a podcast. Like I literally remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Doing what we do every week. You had to start the dinners before you started a podcast. And I think so many people never get to the podcast, never get to the charting podcast, because they refuse to start a podcast, because they refuse to have the dinner with the people that think differently to them. And I think that is actually something I'm realizing more and more I'm super passionate about, is people taking the really mundane step today. Because if they don't take that today, you don't get to those things. And people might make fun of you for doing it today. And people might misunderstand you for doing it today. And I think what I'm realizing more and more about myself is the more I let go of what people are going to think of me, left, right, center, Christian, not Christian, church world, not church world, which I always think is way bigger than it is, turns out. But like, like the more I let go of that, the more I'm like, oh, I think I like me. Like I really, like I'm kind of crazy and pretty psycho, but like also it's a strength and something that has to be reined in every now and then. And if we could accept the fact that the extremes of ourself mirror the extremes that we see life through, maybe we have more grace for the people we're judging.
Yeah.
I think that's what I care about now. I'm getting there. I don't want to, and I'm even hesitant to say what I care about, because I'm like, I don't like. I want to make sure I really care about it. In a sense, it's making me. I have so much less to say than I usually do, but it's not because I'm scared to say it. I think it's a bit more sober than scared.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes total sense. And I literally feel that's the reason why I have said far less in this last year than anything. It's because I'm like, man, like I just like, there's a part of me that I'm like, I'm not just doing this shit just to do shit. Like I want to do shit that because it matters from like a deep place in me, and doing my best. Again, I'll never be completely fully honest. It's like, that's the pursuit. That's the journey I'm on. There's always going to be a part of me that self-sabotages in some way. There's always going to be some part of my small self peeking its way out and me getting angry about something. Like, not to say I'm all of that. I'm just trying to progress. Right. But like, I realize the things that I speak on, I want to feel that.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I remember a few months ago seeing a girl that is from a very prominent, religiously influential family in the Christendom, if you will, that said she says she left her husband, and she said she woke up one day and had no idea who she was, and it terrified me. Terrified me. Because if I keep fake caring about this stuff for too long, I don't even know what I care about. And I did that once. Like going through a divorce, I was watching Maid on Netflix. It's a show on Netflix. And
Maid?
Yeah, I was bawling my eyes out last night. And it's like, it was from last year, I think. It just took me a while. But bawling my eyes out, because she walks into, I might get emotional talking about it. No one ever hit me. But like walking into this, like, almost like a thrift store from this DV shelter she was in, she almost ran away, and the clerk was like, hey, just stay. Everyone gets scared because they don't remember what they like. And I remember leaving my marriage and not knowing what kind of music I wanted to listen to, and literally not knowing what I wanted for dinner, and honestly not knowing what I thought anymore. But how many of us don't have to leave an abusive marriage to also be in that state that if you fake care about things for long enough, like, who are you? Are you gonna? I'm just terrified to wake up one day and be like, what the hell do I care about? Why did God put me on this earth? And it's so cliche, but it's like, if I look like everyone else, then how am I changing anything? And that doesn't mean actually changing things. Newsflash, doesn't mean standing up on your soapbox and saying what needs to change. Anyone can do that. you can stay in any bar and look at a football game and say what should change. Bro, you haven't done football since you were in college. So you can woulda, coulda, shoulda everything about life. But what are you doing like on the field? I don't know. I have so many analogies. I'm sorry.
No, you're on a roll right now. Like what that vein was, that came across so authentic right now. Like, I just want to acknowledge that what you just said right now was so powerful. And like, I feel that. And I like, to me, it's like, I'm realizing is like the self that started you on this journey is not the self that arrives at the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's plain and simple. It's like everyone starts from there. Everyone starts from the selfish, egocentric place, but don't stay there. Let's progress. Let's evolve. Let's get past that, you know? Let's get to that truer self of us. And
ironically, you find that in other people. At least for me. I've been able to find it in just caring about other people, you know? So I what you're saying about the scariness of waking up one day and not having an original thought. There's a lot of people that, I mean, how many times us in our walk, we just kind of adopted either the pastor or the church's way of thinking, and it became how we thought.
Right.
That's problematic, because when your life, specifically your life, punches you in the face,
mm-hmm.
and it's something that you're going through that your community isn't going through, you're forced to like stand on the water like yourself.
Yeah.
And Jesus ain't out there helping you. It's the storm is going and he ain't out there like, "Tro, I'm here for you, bruh." It's just like, it's you. It's you. And I mean, I know he's metaphorically always there for us, but not like physically going through what you had to go through, going through your divorce, right? Like, it was,
right.
You had to form original thoughts. It's the same way I felt when I left the Christendom. Like you said, it was like, oh my God, I have to draw my own boundaries. I have to build my own conviction walls. Like, I'm out in a prairie just running naked, and I'm like, well, where do I stop? Because now I don't have this social structure telling me this is where you stop because this is what our church believes, or this is where you stop because if you go past this, you're gonna lose your ministry. You know, it's like, well, where do you stop, sir? Where do you stop and build your little wall and say, I'm not gonna go past this because I believe that this is. That's why, you know, even like 2 years ago when I did my language study, when I forced myself to cuss, I literally forced myself to start cussing because I wanted to prove myself that Jesus would.
I remember meeting you and you not cussing.
Never, right? I wanted to prove myself that Jesus would still love me. That's literally because I was one of those people that thought saying the Lord's name in vain is when I said, God damn it. And then
this morning,
all of a sudden, that's the unforgivable sin. And I used to think, if I ever accidentally say God and damn it together, that is the unforgivable sin. And I'm like, what? Now I'm like, wait, what? That's what it is, the unforgivable sin? That's not taking the Lord's name in vain. Taking the Lord's name in vain is admitting, or at some point in your life, deciding that the Lord's name, to which that we prescribe, our religion prescribes, is the only way we can be saved, by believing in that name, that God. You no longer believe that it has the power to do what it says it can do. So it's like very practical. It's like, oh, how can you be saved when you don't even believe in the name that can save? So it's more you than him. He's not up there like, oh, you said GD. You're donezo. It's more like, hey, bro, I want to save your life. I want to do everything for you, but you stop believing in the name, in the God that can change you. So how are you going to be saved? Like, how can you forgive when you don't believe in my forgiveness? It's like you just disregard it. It's no longer important to you. It doesn't have the power it had. So it can no longer save you, you know? So, I mean, yeah.
The other way to use Lord's name in vain is to slap his name on some petty shit. So like,
It's
I'll
a
take for
disregarding.
example Kanye West, right? I love him as an artist, as a person. I'm praying for him, and I honestly, legitimately would be there for him if he ever needed me, and I would love to have this conversation with him. He's going in on all these things on Pete Davidson, all these other people in Kip's life, and then he has the audacity to throw God's name on it. That is using the Lord's name in vain, because God has nothing to do with that shit. That is your own untransformed, egocentric self feeling much more pious because you can slap God's name on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and at the end of the day, here is an individual who has not been transformed by the gospel.
Yeah.
So that is using the Lord's name in vain, And ex-President Trump, he did that all the time. And that was my biggest problem with him. It wasn't like, some of his policies, sure, I didn't agree with. But the thing that really irked me was you being about all this other shit and trying to use God's name as a thing, trying to use the Bible as a photo op. To me, that is much more harmful. Oh, that was so dark. That is so much more harmful than saying, God damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, God up in there is like, oh, man, you said it. Sorry.
It's crazy to think this way, though. But this is how, a slave. It's a slave mentality. It's not a son mentality.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah. Or daughter.
Or daughter. Sorry. Yeah.
Or daughter mentality.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, even going back to that we mentioned this before this, but like it being Mental Health Awareness Month, you want to know how to like mess up mental health? Keep faking what you care about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that's the root of everything. Obviously, I would never.
No.
I wouldn't dare. Remember, I'm terrified. But like,
no, but it probably is, right? Because for someone who struggles with mental health, and I've talked to a lot of women that I'm coaching right now, they're much better at caring about other people and making sure that they're okay than caring about themselves and making sure that themselves are okay. Like, that's mental health. It's like, whoa. I can't care about any of y'all right now because I'm drowning.
Yeah.
Gotta take care of me. I gotta take care of me.
And Jesus said, love one another as you have loved yourself. People are fine with that because they stopped. Shame has had such a field day with so many women specifically that they're like, wow, that's fine. I can cuss that person out because I curse myself every single morning in the mirror. And it's like, if you actually don't understand who you are and how much God loves you, even though, whatever that is, whatever the fill in the blank is after that, whatever divorce, abortion, murder, freaking hussy chick out there, like, I don't even know, or guy, whore guy. We've talked about your whore days, Manny.
Yeah.
Like, whatever it is that you think cancels you from being the absolute apple of God's eye is the lie that you're believing that shame has told you. That one that you say, oh, but not this one. That's the freaking, that's what I care about, because I'm like, if women could actually understand what God feels about them, even though they think like they list their things, because women are so good at listing our things, right? Then they maybe might actually start to tap into, baby steps, how God feels about them, understanding who they are, understanding the actual authority and identity that they have. And that's how I love people more now than ever before. Before, when I was on a church staff, why? Because I freaking love me. Like, I'm learning to love me, and I'm learning how God feels about me, even though I have my own bullet points, and I have struggled in my own mental health with anxiety. And I mean, you go through a divorce, you're going to have some mental health stuff happening there. But like, throughout seasons, we struggle with different things. But the one thing I can say is that the more authentic I am with me, the more permission I give myself to be authentic, the more authentic I can be with God, the more I realize how much he loves me, the easier it is not to cancel someone, not to storm a stage, not to judge someone, but understanding if God loves me, even though, man.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not going to cancel someone.
I think that's the day that I got the most free was when I lost my voice, couldn't talk for 6 months, and I found out that the greatest thing that I'll ever become is a son of God. And it's not even become. The greatest thing that I will ever accept is that I'm a son of God. And the second I accepted that, then all my sin became trivial. Because I used to think that my sin is like hurting God. When I'm like, he already died for that, bruh. Like, it's not hurting him anymore. And all the things that you think you're doing that are hurting him or he's mad at because you're doing it to him, he's really just wanting you to live an easier life here.
Yeah.
It's like about bringing heaven here, not about trying to do enough right so that you can get there. It's like, so, hey, bruh, like, if you think of things more logically like that, then I think you'll get rid of all the spiritual woo-woo that you think Jesus is holding against you. So, hey, man, hey, you probably shouldn't have sex with a lot of people. Why? Because there's a lot of diseases, and psychologically, you're going to start not appreciating it for what it really is meant for. And you'll probably kind of feel like you're using people. Like, subconsciously, this is how you're going to end up. There's none, take away the spiritual side of it. This is just probably better for you as a human. Hey, so, if you're looking at porn, God ain't up there like, oh my God, you're just going to go to hell. It's just more so like, hey man, if you do too much of that, it may start affecting you like in a real way, so it's probably better for you if you scale that shit back. Hey, probably don't do this or probably don't do that. Hey, stop lying, not because, like you're going to affect me, but people won't trust you. And if you're the person that nobody trusts, your life is going to suck because you're going to feel the repercussions of hell now. And hell meaning like not, oh, there's a burning fire. No, I think you can feel the repercussions of hell on earth without the fear of a burning fire. Imagine being a person that nobody trusts. That you don't have the trust of no one because you lie. You don't have a person to call that's going to show up because they can't stand you. That loneliness feels like hell.
Yeah.
I've never been there, but I could freaking imagine people who commit suicide come to a point where they're like, this is hell. I'm not afraid of this pitchfork guy who's been created. I'm more afraid of the fact that I can't call anyone.
Wow.
I can't pick up this device and call anyone and believe that they give two shits about me. That sounds like hell. That sounds like alone. Desperation. You know what I'm saying? So I started looking at life more practically. Yeah. And it really like changed my mental health. Now it's like, bro, create a balanced life for yourself so that you will experience heaven here. Yeah. You'll know what it means to be loved. You'll know what it means to love. You'll know what it means to have God be with you. If you balance your life so that you will be okay, not so that God can love you more. Because what a lie. Yeah. What a lie that I used to believe, Now it's like, and I always used to preach this from the stage, and it would always hit home, man. I would always say, if God is omnipotent, omniscient, and knew everything, then he knew all the things you were going to do post-salvation. So if he decided to offer salvation to you, knowing that you were going to do all these things, then why do you continue to believe that your sin is a surprise to God?
My gosh.
You be living like you'll do something and you're like, oh shit, Jesus is going to find out. I'm going to lose all my blessing. As if he didn't know, man, my people screw up a lot. I got to die for them.
I remember it changed for me the day, because we're so much better at preaching at other people than giving it to ourselves, right? Like that's still one of the things I struggle with. I remember the day a mentor of mine told me, Elise, the next time you mess up with a guy, next time you're lying naked next to him and you're like, crap, I got to preach on Sunday, I want you to tell yourself this. This is like when I was really struggling with it in LA when I first moved. I want you to say to yourself, God has right after, God has never loved me more and God has never loved me less than right now. And I literally remember this one night, like a little kid, just like trying to figure out my life. And I was like laying there and I said out loud, I didn't know it was out loud. When you're thinking something and then turns out you say it. Mm-hmm. I said, God has never loved me more. God has never loved me less in this moment. Homeboy turns around and he goes, I'm sorry, what? And I was like, huh? No, nothing. I gotta go. But I remember, like, for me, I had to say, like, things like that. I had to talk to myself sometimes the way I would talk to someone I'm leading or someone I'm mentoring or someone that, like, I have grace for. Sometimes it's, for some people, they need to have more grace for other people than they have for themselves, because, like, hashtag double standards. But, like, for other people, it's like, no, you need to talk to yourself the way you give grace to other people, because God loves you and he knew, and we all mess up, and like, he's never loved you more and he's never loved you less than this moment right now. And that, for me, even though I said it out loud and that guy never called me back, like, I had to say it out loud because I had to talk to myself and remind myself of the thing that I told other people.
Yeah. It's that's the funny thing about sin, is the only thing that it really changes is how you view God.
Right.
It's like you take the creation story and they sin. They take a bite of the forbidden fruit. And all of a sudden his first thing is he realizes he starts seeing himself differently. But that was rooted in because that thing all of a sudden allowed him to see God differently. And then what does God do? The first act of grace that we ever see in this creation story is God covers him. And I always think about that, like, because I used to be so afraid to mess things up because I've wanted to appear perfect for so much of my life. And it's not really until I started sinning where I started realizing how loved I am. It's like sinners and mystics have a head start in understanding this grace, mystery, beautifulness thing we call God. Because the mystics get really connected and the sinners get really connected.
Yeah.
But the people who are faking are the ones who don't get connected. And so, yeah, that's where I'm kind of at right now. I'm like, these last couple of years, I've just been falling into mercy, falling into grace, messing it up, and feeling so much more connected.
Yeah. Let's give ourselves
a round of applause.
Yeah. The feeling of being authentic and knowing what to care and not care about. And hey, let's call each other out. Not call each other out. Let's call ourselves out for each other. Like, that's better.
You did great. You're doing great.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be honest, when we're full of shit, I just think it's just the best, it's like, that's why I be keeping my mouth shut a lot, because I'm like, I don't think I care enough to interject into this situation, because and it's really because I don't have nothing to say, because I haven't figured out, do I really care about this, or am I just like going along with everybody? It's always problematic. Like, whenever me and Andrew are with a bunch of other, we'll be at dinner with some celebs that are really like know stuff or adamant about certain shit, and I'll just shrink down into my seat. And I won't say anything. I'm not going to like amen or go along so that I can feel cool about being on the same team as celeb number A or B. Letter A or B. But I'll just shrink down and I'll just shut up. And I'm actually like trying to practice more shutting up. Like, I'm like, work yourself out of conversations, bruh. Whoa. Try not to talk too much. Just really try not to talk too much, because I start feeling like I don't like it when I say too many things. I should probably be quiet a lot more and internalize, find out what I really care about, and then do more.
Yeah.
Don't say more, do more. Don't fucking just do more. That's what I keep telling myself. This year is like, do more, bruh. Make a lot of money and then go do something with it. Like, for people. Don't buy another car until you do something for someone, That's literally what I'm telling myself now. I'm like, bro, you don't need no more shit. Go give some shit away. Go do something, I think we'll find ourselves in a better place. So if you are somebody who has heard this and can be honest enough that you are fake caring about things, we'd love to hear from you. Because who knows, maybe we'll do another episode and actually have people on that, if this podcast has spoken to you in a way.
You should put something on Instagram of, like, even like with those questions box of, like, is that what the guy does, the rapper dude? He's one of my favorites. So I love, like, his stuff.
Yeah. Comedian. He also has a song that's fire. He has a couple songs.
Like, what are we fake caring about? Like,
yeah, he said, what's y'all fake caring about today? And he just puts like a smiley face.
So interesting. Of like, I wonder if you should put a question box on the night's page of like, what's something that you have? Because I'm so interested, and not like. By the way, all of us, I think, have called ourselves out at some point on this podcast today. So it's like, that's what's so cool about safe spaces is you're not the first one. You don't have to go first. And I think that breeds permission for people, hopefully, to be honest. So
yeah, maybe I'll put it on there. What are you pretending to care about today?
I'll answer.
Ooh-wee.
You better answer if it's your idea for me to do it.
Dude, it's honestly a great question.
Yeah.
But it's almost like one of those things where it's just funny and then it gets really deep really fast. And then depending on how deep and how honest you want to get, you're like, oh my God, I'm an imposter.
You have to admit it. You have to admit you're full of shit. It's so hard. You have to admit it.
And then you feel so much better when other people are like, oh my God, me too.
It's what it is.
Oh man, we're all liars. Give it up for ourselves.
Oh God, thank you so much, Lord. Oh man. So I love you guys. Everybody's on the bus waiting for me. We hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. If you're listening to this is probably going to be the part 2. But we truly would love to hear from you. Hit us up on the DMs and let us know what you think. And if you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe, hit the bell so that you get notified every time we drop a video, and also leave a comment below because I check them all. And once again, thank you, Bobise, for making time. Always love having you on here. And
I'm still pretending. I'm the regular guest. I'm the regular.
Yeah, not pretending. You fully are. I love it. I appreciate it so much.
Love you guys.
And like we say, we pray you find a seat at the table, but if you don't, you are always welcome at ours. Cheers.